welcome back to Pearls of Eden. And I've got a really sweet interview that I want to share with you all. Dr. Phil goes on The View, and I haven't watched The View in years because their politics, their agenda, and everything that they push, it just rubs me the wrong way. So I can't even stand to watch a few minutes of them. But I ran across a clip with Dr. Phil, and y'all, Dr. Phil is waking up. Come on, with the rest of the world. 2024 has been a year of great exposure, vindication. People are awakening up to the truth like never before. They're not sleeping. All of our hard work, you all have sounded the alarm, and people are finally getting it. 2024, man, we are in store for such a treat. Because when the ops start waking up and when the ops become a sound piece for righteousness, man, you gotta really be like, man, things are shifting. You know, we talked about that last year. Remember, many of us knew that there was a shift that was taking place in the spiritual realm, but it doesn't often make itself known into the natural realm. It takes a little bit of time. But when that shift manifests in the natural, in the physical realm, come on, baby, it's about to get sweeter and sweeter and better and gooder and gooder. Let's take a look at Dr. Phil's clip on The View.
Primetime show called Dr. Phil Primetime. And for an upcoming episode, my understanding is that you went to the southern border. Now, you're saying that you're going to give people facts. What did you take away from that experience, and what kind of reporting are you going to be bringing back from that experience?
I'll tell you a fact I took away. I talked to the head of all the border guards down there, the head of the union. I asked him straight up, kids are coming over the border with numbers written on them, phone numbers and addresses. Do we check those out? He said, well, we call them. Is it possible that we're sending them into known prostitution rings or sweatshops? He said, it's not possible. It is absolute. We are using American tax dollars to ship children into known prostitution and sweatshops.
Some children?
Well, who knows? And sweatshops. Some children. Well, who knows? Okay. We don't know.
What kind of question is that? Some children? Don't all children matter? One is too much, right? Just the thought process that some people have to think, well, how many? How many is it? It's affecting many children. One child is enough, Sonny. One child. Let's keep looking.
Okay. We don't know. I said, are you...
So what kind of checking do they do? So
They call the number and say, do you know about this child? They say, yes. Will you receive them when they come? Yes. I said, is it possible that that's a prostitution ring? He said, we know enough to know that in a number of cases, it has turned out to be absolute sex ring. It has turned out to be an absolute sweatshop. I said, how is this possible?
Well, what do they do?
And he said, it is happening.
What do they do then if they know that that's happening? Where is the U.S. Attorney's Office? Where is the...
Here's the question,
you have to re-ask that question when we come back. Sonny, you were about to ask.
Yeah, and I don't mean to derail us, but you mentioned that there are children crossing the border with numbers and names. Many of them those names belong to their family members, but you're saying, and that's true, but some of them are sex trafficked, some of them are sweatshop trafficked. Why do you think the federal government is not involved? Why isn't the U.S. Attorney's Office involved? Is it a resource issue?
It's a resource issue.
And have they reached out to the Biden administration about that?
Well, it's hard to know. They say that they're so overwhelmed with processing that that's all they can do. They've become social workers and processors and not investigators and border guards because they're just processing.
Got it.
Well, Dr. Phil, I want to make sure we get to your new book, which is We've Got Issues. And a lot, you were referring to it in the last segment, how much has changed since you first got started in this. And one of the things is social media. Yeah. So you say you're not the only voice in your kids' ears, so you have to be the best voice. Explain that.
Well, think about it. In like 08, 09, smartphones came on and kids stopped living their lives and started watching people live their lives.
That is such a powerful statement that he just said, that we've all talked about how social media has changed all of our lives. And if you don't get control over it, it will rule you. And it is such a powerful tool that even the creators of social media and these cell phones and all of these devices, they don't even allow it in their home. But yet we are so engrossed deeply into it. And it's so important that we provide boundaries, and we're not constantly just watching other people, as Dr. Phil said, live their lives, and you're not even living your own life. And this is not just children that are so immersed. You've got grown adults who can't even be out and about and enjoy a game without being on their phone or devices, right? So this is something that affects us on so many levels, and we have to be mindful and watchful of our cell phone use, our cell phone time. Put it away, put it in time out. Don't let it be the last thing when you're going to sleep. That's the last thing you're scrolling through, because I'm not per se on Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media sites, but I too have to be careful, because maybe I'm just on YouTube just watching too many sermons, or watching this video, watching that, and I need to just take a break from the screen, right? Because we don't want to be so caught up in technology that it takes us away from our own personal lives. So we have to put a check on it, because if we don't learn to rule over it, it's not that it's necessarily bad in itself, but if you don't learn to rule over it, it's going to what? It's going to rule over you, right? So even if you're not actively, like I am, a part of a social media, if you're observing, if you're watching, and you're just like Dr. Phil saying, watching other people live their lives, critiquing, watching, what everything is going on with everybody else, then it's time to take a break, right? But I love that he said that, because it's definitely an issue in our society.
And so we saw the biggest spike and the highest levels of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and suicidality since records have ever been kept. And it's just continued on and on and on. And then COVID hits 10 years later, and the same agencies that knew that are the agencies that shut down the schools for 2 years.
They were trying to save.
So now they're going to be like, oh, there was a pandemic going on. They were trying to save the children's lives by shutting all the schools down and the services. But in actuality, think about what a disservice that did to so many children. There were so many children who were probably stuck in Little Shop of Horror. We can't even imagine what they were dealing with, because their homes' lives were just horrific, right? And nobody's checking in on these children. Just imagine the trauma that happened during that time. And what Dr. Phil is about to get ready to say is, hey, this didn't even affect really the school-age children. You didn't see school-age children coming down with the COVID and dying from the COVID, right? It wasn't as traumatic as the powers that be tried to make it. Let's keep looking.
Kids' lives.
Who does that? Who takes away the support system for these children? Who takes them away and shuts it down? And by the way, when they shut it down, they stopped the mandated reporters from being able to see children that were being abused and sexually molested, and in fact sent them home and abandoned them to their abusers with no way to watch, and referrals dropped 50 to 60%. So
there was also a pandemic going on, and they were trying to save
They were trying to save kids' lives. Remember, we know a lot of folks who died. Remember, we know a lot of folks who died during this. So it wasn't, people weren't laying around eating bonbons.
Whoa! He said not the school children, you all. Y'all give Dr. Phil a round of applause, because they did not expect this Dr. Phil to show up and show out. I'm telling you, God has people hidden in plain sight. We never know who the special Marines are on the military team of God. But this one right here, he's coming up, he's coming out, and he's showing out for a time such as this. And this is not the first interview that I have seen recently where Dr. Phil is speaking facts, okay? So let's keep watching. Something is happening. It is a time, 2024, where we're seeing a lot of people waking up. We're seeing a lot of people speaking out. And The View was not ready for Dr. Phil. They were not ready for this version of Dr. Phil for sure. And I can only imagine in the earpiece, y'all, they were probably like, it's time. You know what? It's time to take a break. Take a break. We'll be right back. You got to go. We did not know this was about to happen, go down like this. We did not know. Let's keep watching.
We're lucky. Maybe we're lucky during this. So it wasn't, people weren't laying
Not
around
school
eating
children.
Bon. But, well, you know what? We're lucky. Maybe we're lucky they didn't, because we
Girl, you better stop. You don't want none of this. You better stop. You do not want none of this up in here.
kept them out of the places that they could be sick, because no one wanted to believe we had an issue.
Are you saying no school children died of COVID?
I'm saying it was the safest group. They were the less vulnerable group, and they suffered and will suffer more from the mismanagement of COVID than they will from the exposure to COVID. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
Well,
They were the less vulnerable group, and they suffered and will suffer more from the mismanagement of COVID than they will from the exposure to COVID.
Bars dropped. He said, I'm saying it was the mismanagement of COVID, and that more children would experience hardship or issues due to the mismanagement of COVID, not the virus itself. How many of us have been saying this for so long? How many of us have been saying, hey, y'all better be careful before you just take any old thing? And now it's coming out. Facts are coming out. Truth is coming out. I'm telling you, it's vindication season 2024, you all. It's all coming out. We're about to air out all the dirty laundry. So get ready, you all, because God is rising up people for a time such as this that are going to be bold as a lion. People that were in these communities and people thought they were walking together, but they didn't know they had special ops on the team. That's why I tell y'all, be careful about who you decide is with God and who is not with God. Already judging them. Why they hanging with this person? Why they... You don't know what they there. You don't know why they're there or what mission they're on. Just hush. Because, baby, they coming up and they coming out and they got receipts. Do you hear me? Cat Williams got receipts. What's this new little guy coming out? Ryan Garcia or something like that? Got receipts. And these people ain't scared. Okay? They about to bring the heat. In the name of Jesus. All right? Man, let's keep going.
And that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
well, Phil, we don't even have time to talk it out now, man. But thanks for coming. The new book is called We've Got Issues, and it is out.
Well, that was so refreshing, right? I just am so excited to see this Dr. Phil showing up and showing out and spitting facts and bars and not afraid to tell it just like it is. I mean, he's always been that kind of like tell it like he want to tell it, but now he bringing the facts, and I am just here for it. I'm loving this, what I'm seeing. So hope that this brought some, what do I want to say? That this brought a positive ray of sunshine into your day, and it made you smile, gives you something to think about. Hey, there's so many people that were bamboozled by the media when it comes to the ooh-wee, And so you can't be too hard on yourself, but there's lessons to be learned from all of this, right? We have to make sure we have an ear to heaven. We have to make sure that we are listening and praying and taking everything before God, because we do not war against what? Flesh and blood, but against spiritual principalities and high places, wickedness. So we have to be armored up every day in the full armor of God, ready to fight this spiritual battle each and every day. Well, that's all I have for you all. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, please be a supporter of the channel by clicking the subscribe button, share, like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.